Hello everyone and welcome to GreenTalk, our podcast on sustainability. Remy and I are very pleased to welcome Adam today.
Hi Adam, how are you?
Gentlemen, I'm doing swell, thank you. How are you?
We're good,
We're good, thank you. So Adam, you're one of our classmates at KEDGE Business School in the MSc Business Transformation for Sustainability. You come from the US with a very interesting background, so could you tell us a bit more about it, where you come from, what you studied, etc.?
Absolutely. Well, first off, let me just say I'm a big fan of your work, big fan of the podcast.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me again. A little bit about myself. So I'm from the US. I was born in New Jersey, where I was raised until I went to school in Pennsylvania. I went to Penn State University to study international politics and economics. So I got 2 bachelor's degrees over there, and then also picked up a minor in European history because that interested me as well. Mm-hmm. And then after that, went to work in New York. I spent 3 years working at a market research firm, primarily servicing private equity clients in the finance field. And then I switched over to a boutique strategic consulting firm that serviced pharmaceutical clients in the healthcare industry. Spent a little over 4 years working after graduating and wanted to do something a little bit differently with my career, with my life. So yeah, I wanted to make a change and applied to KEDGE, and here I am now.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so nowadays climate change is a very present subject in the media. Some years ago it was less the case. For how long do you feel concerned by it, and what made you decide to dedicate your studies to this topic?
Yeah, so it's been something that I've been thinking about actually for a long time personally. I've always been quite passionate about the environment. Love nature. Love exploring the great outdoors. It's my favorite hobby, my favorite activity to do. So when it comes to the environmental aspect, it's something I've always appreciated and been concerned about. I would say that I really didn't feel as though my job or my personal role was having a positive impact on the world, and it wasn't really bringing me a lot of joy. And since sustainability is something that I'm passionate about, and since I wanted to learn more about other aspects of sustainability like social and economic sustainability, I wanted to kind of become a little bit more well-rounded with that, and decided to leave my job and study that and get a master's degree in business transformation.
Yeah.
So you said that you had been working in finance and strategic consulting sectors. What made you really change towards sustainability?
Yeah, so I would say that I really enjoyed the work that I was doing. I was learning a lot, got to work with some cool companies with some really cool clients, but I didn't really feel as though the work I was doing had a positive impact on the environment or on society. It was something that I had been thinking about for a while. I wanted to do something with a positive impact, didn't want to just pursue, big paychecks. So thought about doing something I was passionate about, and, after doing some research, I settled on the program at KEDGE.
And as our first podcast was on sustainable finance, we were wondering if you noticed a trend in the finance sector in the US integrating sustainability, or not at all?
I would say that it's certainly been growing more recently. In recent years, I would say that in my time working in financial services, that really did not constitute a big part of our work. Very few private equity clients were focused on impact investing or sustainable investments. There were certainly some firms that were starting some impact investment funds, but for the most part, I would say that it was a pretty nascent field, and it's only now that I think it's starting to pick up a little bit in the finance sector, but I would say that for the most part, it's been more of an afterthought than priority.
Okay. For financial companies and strategy consulting, they were not promoting sustainability at the time at all?
It was not their main concern, no. A lot of this is anecdotal, but I would say that in general, I think that there's a lot of room to grow for sustainable finance, and for that to kind of become the norm in investing.
Okay. And so you talked about the United States. Do you see an important difference in the way sustainability is approached, so between the United States and France, and in which way?
Definitely. I mean, there are many different ways, but I think that we discussed finance and sustainable finance a little bit. I think that, one of the main things that sticks out to me is really kind of the cultural and lifestyle changes that sort of contribute to a more sustainable society or a more sustainable public over here. I think that in terms of consumer habits, you notice people, even if it's things like buying less single-use plastics, like reusing, recycling more often. There are many states in the US where have no recycling. I would say that especially among younger people, it's something that's certainly at the forefront of a lot of people's minds here. I think it's sort of growing in the United States as well, and it's starting to become a little bit more prevalent, but I think that definitely the US is considerably far behind. There's both some, social, political barriers, involved in that, but I would say that I think both countries are making progress, but I think that in France, it's seen as a little bit more important.
Okay, and do you see in the United States that the state is really involved in sustainability, or?
You mean as in the government, or?
Yeah, the government, yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on who's leading the government. I think that now with Joe Biden, you have a more progressive strategy when it comes to, renewable energies and prioritizing that, cutting down on fossil fuels, promoting more land preservation, whether it be environmental protection like water and air quality. It all really kind of changes based on, the administration, but I would say that right now, the U.S. is definitely, along with some big bills that were recently passed, is definitely taking a step in the right direction.
Okay, and do you have plans for your future? Do you have like an ideal job or sector you would like to work in?
For the future, I think, it's tough to pin down, a specific role or a specific job. I would say that I would love to do something related to environmental sustainability, perhaps something related to biodiversity. That's something I'm pretty passionate about. If I was able to work with an NGO in some capacity, maybe not as a full-time employee even, but being able to contribute and help, that's something that I've always thought about, and I think especially now after completing this master's program, I think I would be able to help out with. So I think that would be kind of a dream scenario for me, but I also really did enjoy consulting. I think it's a career where you learn a lot, challenged every day to come up with creative new solutions to difficult problems, and you get to work with really smart, bright people. So I would say that if I could work in a consulting firm that's focused on environmental sustainability or really puts that at the fore of their business vision, then that would be a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah, and you mentioned before that you would like to work for an NGO. Do you have an NGO in mind that you really like their work, or maybe a cause that you feel concerned about?
There are a lot of cool NGOs out there. I think that WWF is a really cool one. I think that there are a few others. I mean, UNICEF would be interesting, UNESCO. A lot of, I think, conservation NGOs would appeal to me. So, really it kind of depends on what's out there and what's available, but certainly I think something related to environmental sustainability, not exclusively, but something that really involves that in the day-to-day, that's something that I would be interested in.
Okay, to go on the Master of Business Transformations for Sustainability that we just did this year. So what is your feeling about it, and did it help you to be more aware of sustainability issues?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of the main goals I had when I was coming to KEDGE was to become more informed about the two other main pillars of sustainability. As we learn in school, you have the social, environmental, and economic sides of it. And I really wanted to learn a little bit more about the social and economic side, because it's obviously really important as well. I think that even within our class, people have certain, niche subjects within sustainability that they're especially passionate about. But I think it's really important to become really well-rounded and learn about the different impacts, on society as well as the economy and the environment. So I'm happy that was something that we were able to cover across all three different pillars. And as well, I think that there's a lot that I learned as well. Even being interested in the environmental aspect of sustainability, there was still so much that I didn't know. And I learned a lot every single day. I think certainly I come out of the program with much more knowledge on the subject, have a better understanding of some of the challenges that businesses face when it comes to being more sustainable or undergoing a transformation really to make their business sustainable from top to bottom. So I think that was valuable, and certainly had some interesting professors and some pretty great classmates. So had a good experience.
Yeah, and about this, would you be able to highlight some moments of this year, maybe some classes or workshops we've done?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that before I get into any specific classes, the main highlight has been the cohort. I think the class itself, I think the KEDGE picked out a really great group of students. I think 20 really, really smart individuals that I really respect and that I really learned from a lot every day. So I was really happy about that, and it was really a joy to come to class every day to learn from other students. When it comes to the program itself, there were definitely a ton of great memories. I would say that the UN Simonu, the United Nations simulation we had at the beginning of the program, where we had to debate against other programs, that was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. There were a lot of really interesting speakers that came in from a variety of really cool companies, from Pernod Ricard to IKEA to, we had the pleasure of welcoming Panut from the Orangutan Information Center in Indonesia. Really great experience, and allowed us to really work on some interesting case studies, that were relevant to his organization, but relevant to other NGOs as well. And in addition to that, we had some really cool workshops. I think we had some really cool exercises in which we got to interact and debate with each other. So yeah, it was a fun year. Had some good experiences.
Yeah, that will definitely inspire students to choose sustainability in their courses.
And to put in context, so we received Panut in class that explained us his work in the NGO in Indonesia, and we also invited him for one episode of GreenTalk. So feel free to come and see it. It's episode number 2.
My favorite one. Great stuff. Yeah.
And so, Adam, would you have any advice to students who want to have a positive impact but do not want to take the step or do not know how to take the step towards sustainability?
Yeah, I would say that if sustainability or any aspect of sustainability is something that you're really passionate about, don't be afraid to go for it and try something new. There were a lot of people back home who thought I was crazy when I told them that I was coming to Paris to study sustainable business transformation. A lot of people thought I lost my mind. Even in my own family, a lot of people were doubting me. But I think if it's something you're passionate about and you're determined to make a difference, then I would wholeheartedly recommend students or even young professionals, go for it. I decided at one point that I wanted to make a change in my career and do something more impactful, and that's why I decided to do this. And I think that people really don't understand, how much they're capable of. If you're really passionate about something and put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. So, I would recommend, to give it a shot. You miss every shot you don't take. So, go for it is my advice.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our podcast, and a special thank you to you, Adam, for your very interesting insight. It was very inspiring. You have a great background and a great motivation on what you're doing.
Thank you again, Adam, for accepting our invitation. And for our editors, we'll be back in 1 week with Antoine and Sarah from Too Good To Go to talk about sustainability in the retail and quick service restoration sectors. Take care and see you then.